Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. Okay, close your eyes and imagine, if you will, a young Peter Gabriel and a young Peter Seinfeld. And together, after a night of playing Talisman and Prophecy, they decide to design their own game. And now you can open your eyes because something like that exists. And that game is Pauper's Ladder. So Pauper's Ladder, while I am playing this game, all I want to do is throw on selling England by the pound or King Crimson's Lizard or Islands and just have some of that nice kind of Ren Fair style prog rock playing in the background. It is that kind of game. This is a game that fits snugly right in between something like Talisman and Prophecy. It is an overland crawl where you are going on adventures around a land. You are having random encounters and you are trying to solve quests and become the winning pauper. So let's read a little bit about Pauper's Ladder here. This says, Garolium Skaggart, beloved ruler of the people, has died. Despite an upbringing of real hardship, she rose to the highest rank in the royal court and did what she could to make sure the poorest in Brighthelm were never forgotten. She died too young, her work half done. A tournament has been announced to find her successor. Brave knights have traveled down royal highways. Bold paladins have knocked on royal doors. So too have bards, lords, and heroes, all looking to take over Skaggart's reign and rule the realm to their desires. And every one of them has been sent back to whence they came. Because Garolium herself had devised the tournament, it was the last thing she did, and she decreed it would only be open to those of the most limited means, those whose potential had been locked by the chains of ill fortune and poverty, Brighthelm's paupers. She had spent her whole life building their ladder, and nobody was going to take it away. So in this game, you are not playing as a brave hero, a brave warrior, a wise wizard, or anything like that. You are playing as a lowly pauper. And here we have some of the paupers that you can play as. The Great Ognov, the charlatan from Lilacsville. We have Jenny Heaver, the woodsmith from Blue Vale. We have Kazahoys, the scavenger from the Black Sand. And then on the other side, we have some other paupers. We have Dagris Scriven, we have Alf Blomwell, and we have Brenny Lanklot. So in the normal game, you are going to be playing competitively against other players who are also playing paupers, and you are going to be moving your pauper meeple, these big, fat, giant meeples, along with their trusty bird companion. So there are 4 different birds that will join you as a companion. The birds are used as another meeple, another player token to move around the board, so that things can get discovered and populated more quickly. Because at the beginning of a normal game, the board is going to be pretty empty and you're going to have to move from region to region, such as moving into forests or swamps or mines or mountains or cities. And then you're going to be drawing from various adventure card decks to populate the areas with adventures. So this is at the end of a game, and this is at the end of a solo game, and I was playing as Desi Blanth. And each of the paupers also has their own unique ability as a kind of a baked-in item that they can use, and only they can use. And that originating item, that original item, can never be lost, sold, or stolen by any means. And so the main goal of the game is going to be completing 3 virtues. And there are 5 different virtues that you can attempt to compete or to complete. You can donate a sum of money in order to get the virtue of generosity. You can complete a certain number of recipes to get the virtue of knowledge. You can complete 3 quests to get the virtue of fellowship. And then you can also discard 30 strength worth of hazards to get the virtue of bravery. Or you can discard 1 dragon that you have slain in order to get the virtue of magnificence. And to win the game, you have to complete 3 of those virtues. The virtue of knowledge, which is defined by trying to complete 3 recipes, is a really cool one because it does add some neat things to your character. So you're going to have a number of different recipes here. You're going to start the game with 3 different recipes, and those recipes will have special bonuses that you will get if you complete them. And to complete them, it's kind of a set collection game where you want to roam the land looking for certain ingredients. You have to have 2 of the 3 ingredients in order to complete one of the recipes. And then once you do complete it, you can draw another one, and you want to try to complete 5 of those. And each of the paupers is going to start in a certain city, and the cities will have a rare item that you can purchase, such as this fine steed. And the store will also be always stocked with a number of equipment items that you can buy, such as a rusty key, time potions, a pair of charms. There is quite a large stack of different equipment that you can get. There are weapons, different kinds of potions, daggers, crystal balls. You can buy some of the ingredients that you might need. Buy some rotten food if you would like to buy some rotten food, a dragon heart. There's all kinds of different things that you can buy. And then another thing that you can do at the city is you can attempt a quest. So there is a pretty large deck of quests here, such as a guild initiate. The various guilds across the land are looking for new recruits. Discard 3 gems in a wild region containing a guild. So you might find a guild out in one of the areas, and then you can pay to join that guild. You can discover ancient tunnels, help repair some storm damage. You can help an inept chemist, find some poison herbs, slay certain monsters. So there are all kinds of really cool quests to complete. One of the quests that I got to complete in my game has a special significance to me, and that was to become an exterminator. So for those of you who don't know, I recently quit my law job of 18 years to become a licensed pest professional, a licensed pest control specialist, I should say. And I am no longer working at a desk in front of a computer. I am now crawling around dirty crawl spaces and attics. So it's a lot of fun there. And I became an exterminator, and I had to slay a couple of pests, such as these guys here, in order to solve that quest. And as you are traveling around the land, each of these areas is kind of like a space and talisman. You move from area to area. They are connected by these little bridge symbols here, these little pathways. And when you move into an empty area, you are going to draw a card from that corresponding region's encounter deck. And each of the regions has a pretty large deck of cards. I believe the mine deck is the biggest at just about over 50 different cards, I believe. But all kinds of different zombies, traps, natural disasters. There's a fighters guild. You can get your different recipe ingredients there to complete your alchemy. Ectoplasms, a demon trap, a bone king. You can find your dragon heart there, toadstool. So all kinds of cool and different things. There are combat and non-combat encounters. I do wish there were maybe a few more of the non-combat encounters, such as things like the underground river you might be able to discover, or maybe some dwarven tunnels. You can find a gambling den. So there are quite a few. I would just like to see a few more. And you can also find very powerful monsters to slay, such as dragons. So what's really cool is that one of the or two of the trophies have to do with slaying monsters. If you slay a dragon, you can turn that in to get the virtue of magnificence. You can also slay normal monsters and pass through traps to collect up to 30 strength points and turn those in to get the virtue of bravery. However, when you kill an enemy, when you defeat a hazard, you can either keep it for a trophy to work towards a virtue. You can trade it in for a number of gems, which is the currency in the game that you can use for certain things, or you can trade it in for an ingredient to use for one of your recipes. So there are some choices every time you beat a hazard of what you're going to do with that, how you're going to use your reward to help further the progress of your character. And in the normal game, you along with three other players, up to three other players, four total, are going to be moving around the realm, competing to become the first one to pass three different virtues. Here's an old shipwreck that you can find. There's also a dice, a D6 that sometimes you will roll to generate a random number or perhaps a different symbol that you will sometimes need. And combat is handled with a deck of cards, kind of like my house rule for Talisman, where you have cards that you draw instead of rolling dice. Now, I am already playing Pauper's Ladder with one house rule, and I've found that it makes the game a lot more enjoyable. Normally, when you come to a hazard, like let's say you were in the forest here and you drew this pest, you would need to get a 4 or higher to slay that pest, okay? Well, right now I have a sword, which adds 1 to my strength. I don't have any other gear or equipment that will add anything to my strength. So I would just draw one card to see if I beat that hazard. How I've been playing is I start out with a hand of 3 hazard cards, and then I have to play all of them before I can draw another 3. It just makes planning your route a little more meaningful, because you can say, okay, I can go into this region to slay this monster. I can go here to pass that trap, but then you might be stuck with a lowly 3, 2, or 1 that can't do anything. So then you have to decide how you're going to take the negative effect from not being able to pass a hazard. So I like playing this game with 3 cards in my hand. I have to use them all, and then I can draw another 3. Some of the lower numbers will actually have a way to mitigate a low number by doing something that is written on the bottom. Usually it has to do with paying gems as your currency to help either add to your total strength or help by picking another card. So I think that is pretty cool. Each of the characters has their own deck, but the numbers are the same and the different powers are the same. That would be really pretty cool if the different characters did have their own unique outcome deck, but that would be a lot of unique cards because the outcome deck is pretty big. But overall, this is a really just kind of breezy, nicely paced, fun little adventure game. It is dead easy to learn. Once you get the game, you will be playing in a matter of minutes, especially if you have played games like Talisman or Prophecy. You will have no problem learning this game and playing it and just having a lot of fun. It's such a breezy little kind of a light-hearted adventure game. And there just aren't a lot of games that offer just this kind of simple fun. I really do think that it resides just very nicely right in between Talisman and Prophecy. And so if you're looking for something like that, if you like these kinds of simple overland adventure crawl games, then this is definitely a game that I highly, highly recommend. It is so much fun. I've played it like 3 or 4 times since I got it. Now, I should say, I should have said this right off the bat, but this game was provided to me by Paul Stapleton, and he was the creator of the game. And I did end up ordering the expansion. So one thing to keep in mind is that this game does not have US distribution. And so for Dungeon Dive viewers in the US, if you are interested in getting this game, you can order it straight from Paul's website, and it is currently available. But it is quite expensive because of the currency conversion and shipping. It's just it is an expensive game. The expansion, which is coming out very soon, is called Moon Towers. It has a whole new bunch of cards that you can add to your game, or you can play with just the cards from this expansion. It has some new talents and curses to further augment your character. It has 14 different bird companions and all kinds of new gear and adventure cards to encounter, and like a new kind of adventure to go on. And so this will be coming out soon. I think the expansion on its own was like almost $50 to have it, to purchase it and have it shipped to the United States. So it's not a cheap game, but you know, we spend like $100 on a big Kickstarter game from a big company like Simon, without really thinking twice about it. And so I say that, like, spending maybe 60, 70 so dollars on something like this from one guy who's just making a cool little game like this, I don't know, maybe the money is better spent on something like this. Of course, you're not going to get 1,000 miniatures. You're not going to get 1,000 cards, but you are getting a very nicely crafted little game that can be set up, learned, and played very easily. And it just creates a nice little sense of fun. Throw on some of that prog rock that I was mentioning. Throw on some really early King Crimson, Islands or Lizard, or maybe even Lark's Tongue and Aspic. Throw on some early Genesis, and just have a good time. Maybe some Fairport Convention, some of that folk revival music from the UK during that time, Steel Eye Span or something like that. And just go on a nice little kind of lighthearted, breezy adventure through the land of Pauper's Ladder. I really can't recommend this game enough. When I was setting it up, I was like, oh, I don't know, this seems so simple and there's not a lot to it. But as I was playing it, more and more started to kind of reveal itself. One thing that Paul did send along, and I believe you can get this as a PDF, and that is a little solo rules expansion. And it has a few different rules. Normally in the competitive game, there's really no way to lose. Your Pauper and their bird do not have a life. So it's not like Talisman or Runebound or something, or Prophecy, where you die and then you have to start over being really behind. You don't have to worry about that. But in the solo game, each of your characters will have some life. And that is one way to lose, is to lose all your lives. Of course, you can heal in the city. So it does add a few different rules for the solo game. But what it really boils down to in the solo game is these scenarios. So you have the main scenario, which is just like the base game from the box, but you do populate some of the regions. You seed the regions with some random cards to get to get the ball rolling. And then there's also a scenario called the Fiery Siege, which you are trying to protect a certain city from a dragon attack. And then finally, there is a scenario called the Saltash Necromancer, in which you are pulling out all of the undead creatures along with a necromancer and then having an adventure where you are trying to defeat the undead from taking over the land. I would really like to see more solo adventures, more solo scenarios for the game. I think that would be really cool because the scenarios seem like they are pretty fun. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed taking a look at Pauper's Ladder. And remember, if you did enjoy the game here, you can go just Google Pauper's Ladder. I'll put the link to the website in the description below, and maybe take a look at it. And remember that the expansion should be coming very, very soon, and it looks like it's going to add just a whole bunch of more colorful and unique encounters to add to this colorful and breezy kind of early prog rock style adventure game. So, all right, guys, well, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.